How funny that I just sat down to start this vlog and literally, no, let me show you what happened. 4 minutes ago, I got the Camp Nano Rimo starts tomorrow email. So you know, why don't we start off this vlog with announcing my Camp Nano project. I'm very confused by this. I really could have sworn I heard lots of people say you didn't have to do a word count goal, like you could do a time goal, but I'm not seeing where that is an option, so I guess, I don't know, this feels really pointless now because I am not going to write 50,000 words this month, but you know what, we'll just change that to 30 and I'll count my outline words, I guess. Okay, well, there it is. I really wish I could put a time goal. If I am missing something here, guys, please tell me because my goal is not word count related, but that's okay. So you might have noticed that the title there was not Warps. This is Warps. Warps is actually the title of the middle grade I wrote, when did I say, 2011, 12, something like that. It was a long time ago. That I recently reread both versions of it and I want to write a new book with a new cast of characters and a new plot, but set in this time travel-y world, kind of magical world that I created because I really love the world building in that book. So I just figured, you know, I had been playing with titles for a while, and I think while I was in Seattle, randomly I kind of landed on this one that for now I think I like, and no reason to cling to the old title, right? So the title I settled on for now is Nil versus the Pocket Universe. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, I am not precious about titles, let me know. I anticipate that if I am fortunate enough that this ever gets to the point of publication, it will change a million times. I do not have the best luck with titles. Sometime in another video, I will share the saga of what Olive in the Backstage Ghost and Spell and Spindle went through. I am not joking when I say we came up with hundreds of titles between those two books, my editor and I, and literally I have cover sketches for those books with different titles. It was a whole thing. Ugh. I don't have good luck with titles. So I'm imagining that this is gonna change, but for now I think Nil versus the Pocket Universe is really cute. I also, if you saw, I added a little kind of summary. A 13-year-old time hacker alters the timelines of her enemies and finds herself on the run from the most powerful forces in her universe and beyond. That's pretty vague. Also, it might change, but for now, that's kind of like the one sentence pitch that I am liking. I also feel like there's probably a good tagline in there. Something about she's the most wanted criminal in the multiverse, I think would be really fun. But hopefully that gives you an idea of the kind of vibe I'm going for with this book. So here is the state of things right now. Today is Wednesday, June 30th. That means tomorrow is the 1st and it's the start of Camp Nano. So I did not work on this book at all while I was on vacation. I really didn't even think about it or any books at all, which was really nice. And I came back and I opened my brainstorming document and I'm excited. I am so ready to jump into this. I really want this to be a very detailed documentation of my process when I am taking a new idea and building it, because I feel like that's the question I get maybe the most often when I work with authors who are just starting out, especially those who are working on their first book, is like you get overwhelmed with all of these great ideas for your book, but like you don't know where to sit down and how to actually start. So this is how I start. Since I reread Warps and decided I want to create a new story but set in this world, all I have done is I have one document. It's the Nil brainstorming document. And as of right now, you'll see it's 34 pages or over 8,000 words. But most of that, I would say like probably about 6,000, maybe even more words of that are actually when I was rereading the old version of Warps, I was like copying, pasting big chunks of description-y, world-building-y stuff that I know I want to use and just pasting it in here so I have it all to reference in one document. The actual like character and plot brainstorming that I've done is only maybe 2,000 words. In fact, I'll scroll through it right now, and yeah, it's only 6 pages. So really, that's it. I wouldn't say that's a lot to start with. And again, so much of it is just the world building stuff that I pulled from the other book. So most of the work I've done on Nil herself. She is the main character. That's the name I'm going with. And trying to figure out her motivations. She is, I've said before, like an Artemis Fowl criminal mastermind, wicked kind of anti-hero, and I want to know why she is the way that she is. And I think I have definitely, I'm sure I will get to know her a lot better throughout this process, but for right now I have a good idea of who she is and what's driving her and why she's doing what she's doing. I have a very, very vague kind of 3-act idea. I know the inciting incident. I know break into 2, like moving into Act 2, the whole world flips upside down thing. I know what that is. I know the midpoint for sure. And I have a decent idea of Act 3, although the finale honestly is still pretty vague. But that's okay at this stage. It's still really early, and I don't want to like force an ending on myself yet. I'm still in that stage where I'm trying not to constrict anything too much, because I'm still, as I start working on a beat sheet, as I start working on a beat sheet and an outline, I forgot what I was going to say. Rosa, you just confused me. Why are you growling? Okay, peace out. Totally lost my train of thought. Okay, I don't want to lock myself into any rules or like specific plot beats just yet. I've said this before, for me, outlining is the most creative and fun part of the writing process. I think it's for the same reason that pantsers love pantsing, is that it's the spontaneity. I don't know what's gonna happen next, and so I'm okay with really not knowing the ending right now. Another big thing that I've been trying to work through is, I think I talked about this before, but one of the biggest problems with the old versions of Warps is that, especially the first one, read like a giant prologue. It was all set up, and I tried to cram in too many cool ideas I had for the world that honestly, it was because I envisioned it as a series, and I was just like, anytime something fun would come to my head, I would find a way to like pack it in. I would want this one to be a series as well. I love writing series. So part of what I've been trying to do is identify which elements or which even kind of plot beats from the original I want to use, and which ones are cool but need to be saved for future books. Like what is this book about? What is the plot for this book? Because I've said this before, the early versions of Warps didn't really have plots. I recently reread Artemis Fowl because that is one of my comp titles, and that first book is very tightly plotted, and in fact the majority of the story takes place, I think, within a 24-hour period. He takes a fairy hostage in his house. The fairies try to break into the house to get their fairy back. That's really it. That's it. It's very simple. Even though the big like kind of series arc that is set up here is the fact that this human boy who is kind of evil has discovered the world of fairies, which they have tried to keep secret from humans forever. They didn't get into like a big interspecies like war kind of situation in book 1. It's just about saving this one fairy from this kid, and then they'll figure out how to handle the fact that he knows about them later. So I really tried to keep that in mind, and I'm still trying to keep that in mind with this book, because I do get carried away, and every time I think of something fun, I just want to like cram it into book 1. Gotta save some stuff, right? So the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow, which is June 1st, is I'm going to go ahead and use the Save the Cat software again. I enjoyed it with Dragon Balloon, and I still feel like I'm getting to know it a little bit, and so I'm gonna use it to get all of this set up. And that's probably gonna be pretty much all of my first hour of work tomorrow, is mostly filling in the characters I have so far, the world building elements, and putting them in their place. Like there's a section I'll show you tomorrow for different settings that you can set up and describe them, and adding the plot beats I know to the board. That's gonna take a while, that beat sheet. I can already tell, like, I don't have that many beats in my head yet. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna start playing with that tomorrow and just getting that filled in. There's some other stuff I want to talk about as far as just what July is gonna look like for this channel. So a few things have come up on my work schedule since right before I left for Seattle, and even during my trip. And nothing bad, actually, it's all really great. Before I left, I had actually planned out my work schedule for the month, making it, you know, doing that whole plan like you're going to have a cold rule thing, and making sure I had some flexibility in there, especially because July is already kind of a busier than average month for me, because I'm teaching 2 weeks of a writing camp for teens, which is going to be really fun. So I had that all set, and then a whole lot of stuff popped up at once. The first is that Reedsy invited me to do another webinar on their YouTube channel. I did one last summer and it was great, and I'm going to do another one early August, so that's going to take some planning. It's a whole presentation. I'll have slides and all that stuff. The second was that I did a summit last year, a virtual summit called Escape the Plot Forest, and a lot of you guys attended that, and it was super fun. I had a great time with that one, and I was invited to do their summit for this summer, which is going to, I think it's called the Find Your Next Reader Summit, and he specifically asked if I would do a presentation on starting a YouTube channel if you're an author. Which, to be honest, my reaction when he first said that, my instinct was to say, oh no, I'm new at this, I don't have the experience for that. And then I was like, it's been a year and a half. I've learned some stuff. I probably have something to share with authors who are curious about YouTube and thinking about starting a channel. So hey, if you're interested in starting an AuthorTube channel, I will be doing a presentation on that. And that summit is actually July 24th. So I got to get to work on that presentation. It is a free summit, but there is also a pass. If I'm remembering this from last year, I think you can buy a pass that gives you lifetime access to all of the presentations, and also there's some bonus material that you get. So either way, I will have more information on that coming real soon. What else? So those two things came up, and then Skillshare. You guys know I've really been enjoying creating courses on Skillshare. They have invited me to like a few different things. Like there's this special teachers group thing, I can't remember what it's called, that I got invited to, and then a teach challenge. So all of that is to say, I have, to join all of these things, I have committed to creating another course before September. And that sounds like a long time from now, but we all know how summer works. It's not. It's gonna come up real quick. And I think that course is going to be on productivity for writers and finding a writing routine, if that sounds like something that is interesting to you. So all of that I just said is kind of my blanket excuse for what I'm going to say next, which is I'm going to have to, for at least the month of July, take a step back on my not vlog videos on this channel. When I planned my work schedule for July, I had planned on doing at least 2 videos to continue my series on traditional publishing. The next one I have planned in that series is about salaries in publishing houses, and I've already done the research on it. It's been sitting in a sort of messy outline in my Google Docs forever. I'm still mad about it. I really want to talk about it, but the truth is those videos, between like the research and the scripting, and the filming doesn't take long, but then the editing, they take a long time, and I love working on them. But between the Reedsy webinar, the virtual summit, these teen writing courses I'm teaching for 2 weeks, and the Skillshare course, I think that is just going to kind of those things are going to dominate my course presentation hours in a week, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to be taking a step back from that, at least for July, maybe for the first couple weeks of August, but I promise those videos are coming. I have them planned in a schedule. I just don't have time to script, film, and edit them this month. But they will be coming back. On the flip side though, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be uploading videos. Au contraire. Not only will I be vlogging every Friday as usual, but I actually started thinking about it a few days ago, and a thing I think I've talked about in the past is that when I get busy, the thing that I sacrifice first is my own book, always. And I mean, of course, when it comes to like client work and things I'm contractually obligated to do, of course, those always are my top priority. But I mean, I will pick my YouTube channel over my book. I will pick just anything else. I will pick washing dishes over my book. I will push, even if I really want to work on my book, I will always bump it to the bottom of the list. And I'm really gonna do my best, especially during Camp Nano, not to let myself do that with warps or nil. And part of the reason, in fact, I would say a huge reason that I finished Dragon Balloon, that I got a draft of that book, was because of this vlog. Because it gave me, it was like having however many of you there are accountability buddies. I felt like the days and the weeks where I did not want to work on that book, I was like, well, do I really want to turn this camera on and admit that I'm not working on this book? Maybe once or twice the answer is yes, but really pretty much every time it worked. And I never felt like I was forcing myself. Once I started vlogging and talking about the book, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? I do want to work on this. It just kind of helped get me into the zone. So I think what I want to try doing this month for Camp Nano is, since my commitment is working on this book for 1 hour every day at minimum, I want to take out the camera and vlog that every day. Just even, I mean, it might be just a little bit of B-roll, it might be just me checking in and talking about what I worked on that day, but I want to do that every single day. I think that will help me stay accountable, and because I don't want to have like a ridiculously long vlog every Friday, I think instead I'm going to upload a vlog Tuesdays and Fridays for the rest of this month, and it's all going to be about the beginning stages of this book and how I take it from this document with a bunch of wibbly wobbly messy ideas and turn it into sort of a plot and sort of an outline and go from there. I don't know where it will be by the end of the month. I'm hoping I'll at least have a full outline of it, or maybe even that I'll have started drafting it, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So that is my goal, and you know, I think today I've already been rambling on long enough, so tomorrow is June 1st and we will jump into it and start working on a brand new book. Woo! Okay, so the first thing I did was obviously titled the book, and I wrote in actually kind of 2 log lines, the sort of longer one I shared yesterday, and then this little shorter one, which is more like a tagline. The next thing it says to do is to enter your genre, and of course these are Save the Cat genre specifically, and I haven't actually thought about which one my book falls under, so I'm gonna have to take a second and do a little refresher on these genres. Okay, this is why I think this is the thing I love the most about the Save the Cat Writes a Novel book, is when you start reading about these different genres, it talks about the different ingredients that are often found in these types of genres, right? So like a specific character type, or you know, a thing that happens, some sort of element, and the book uses a lot of examples. So I went through all of these again, and I wasn't sure, that none of them really jumped out at me at first as being the genre that Nil is in, but once I read Institutionalized again, I thought, you know, I think this is the one. Institutionalized is, when I see it, I think dystopian, and a lot of dystopians do fall under the institutionalized genre, but just to give you an example, the book talks about how institutions come in different sizes and shapes. They can be as small as a family, like Little Women, or as large as a town, like in To Kill a Mockingbird, or the city of Jackson in The Help, or the world of rich 1920 Long Islanders in The Great Gatsby, etc. So it's not institution in the dystopian sense necessarily, and I do definitely have an institution in this book. And the number one indicator of an institutionalized novel is that the story is about the many, not necessarily the one. And that was the first thing I read when I was reading through all of these just now that made me think, oh, okay, yeah, I think this is what Nil is about, because it does seemingly start out being about her and her seemingly selfish, criminal, wicked motives. But what I hope to do throughout the story is reveal that there's a lot more to what she's doing than that, and it's really not just about her. Now, the next couple of ingredients that the book recommends for this type of story, it says, no matter which institution you choose to highlight, the essential ingredients of a successful institutionalized story are a group, a choice, and a sacrifice. So the groups can be groups that people are born into, or that they're asked to join, or that they're forced to join. And the choice has to do with the choice the protagonist, and kind of by proxy the reader, has to make, as far as like, would I choose to be a part of this? Would I choose to pull away from this? What would I choose to do if this type of group existed? Then, and I really love this part, it says there's two types of heroes we often see in this story. The first is the naif, which is a newcomer to the institution, usually introduced by someone more experienced. Think Jane in Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. Now, Nil is a naif to the institution in this book, in that she is not a part of it and she is trying to find her way into it. But the kind of innocence and naivety associated with that word just immediately makes me think, that's not quite her. But look at the next one. Not all institutionalized stories feature a naif character. Some novels are told through the point of view of another type of character called the Brando, named after the notoriously rebellious actor Marlon Brando. These types of characters are existing members of the featured establishment. They're already entrenched in the system, but they're starting to doubt it. That type of attitude, that energy, that definitely describes Nil more. She is not a part of this establishment, but she is very aware of it, and she arguably knows more about how it works than even the people inside of it. So I think as a protagonist, she is kind of a combination of these two. She's the naif in that she is technically an outsider, but she's the Brando in that she got questions, if that makes sense. And she, I think, in fact, I would go as far to say she's already made up her mind that the system stinks, and she's gonna do what she can to take it down. And then there was one more character kind of archetype for this genre that really got me thinking about the characters in this book. Naifs and Brandos both have the important role of revealing the flaws of the institution you've chosen to write about by either being an outsider or rebellious insider, but they ultimately accomplish this task by going up against the third character common in institutionalized stories, the company man. This character embodies the system or institution. They buy into it, they are rah-rah cheerleaders for it, they're not just part of it, they will usually defend it to the death. And as examples, think O'Brien in 1984, Aunt Lydia in The Handmaid's Tale, and Hilly Holbrook in The Help. That's the type of thing that as soon as I read it, I was like, that's a character I need to have. And I think I have a character already who, I have a character who was this, but I just didn't realize it. And now that I've read this, I can really develop him and make him that guy, that main antagonist for the first book that Nil needs to focus on taking down. So the quick recap for institutionalized novels is it has to include a group, some sort of institution, a choice, some sort of conflict that is sort of embodied between the main character and the company man character, revolving around whether to join or not to join, or to stay or not stay. And finally, a sacrifice leading to one of three possible endings: join the institution, burn the institution down, or escape the institution. Which, you know what, has already kind of got my wheels turning about that very undeveloped ending I have for this book and what I might want to do with it. So I think that's just what I love about Save the Cat. Every time I go to this novel and read through these genres, if I have an idea in mind, man, reading those different ingredients just really helps start my wheels turning about what I want this book to be. So first things first, I'm going to go ahead and declare that this is an institutionalized story. Okay, so now I've got my title, my log lines, and my genre, and they stay up at the top of the board for me to reference while I work. Now, as you can see, everything else is, they start when you open the template, they have beats laid out for you. Okay, that was a weird little glitch. What are you doing? Go back to your home. Yeah, it's a little glitchy, it's fine. So what I'm gonna do now is start entering. If you can see down here, we have script idea, character idea, location idea, thing idea, relationship idea, other idea, research. And then over here, we've got, here's the beats, here's where I can add characters, where I can add locations, things or objects, MacGuffins if we're being real, different relationships, which is something I would play with later, setups, that's for later, and payoffs also for later. That will make more sense once we actually have beats over here on the board. For right now, I think I'm going to start with characters and settings and just get all of that out of my brainstorming document and into this. Okay, so that was my hour for the day. I'm probably gonna do a little bit more, but all I got done was Nil's kind of character sheet. Now, saying that made me cringe a little bit because I have talked in the past about how I am not the biggest fan of character sheets. Especially in the kind of earlier stages of writing a book, because I think the kinds of details they ask you for are a little more superficial, and I found it, for me personally, to be more helpful to like get to know what a character wants and needs first before kind of working your way out to things like what do they look like and all that. That's not going to be the case every time, and that's certainly not going to be the case for everybody, but in the past it's what's worked for me. However, in the character sheets in the Save the Cat software, it asks you, like, the main part of it is a brief description of the character, and I actually used that whole Nafe and Brando thing to kind of describe who she was. And then it asks you for her wants, it asks you for her needs, and then it asks you for 6 things that she needs to fix. 6 things that she needs to learn or overcome about herself by the end of the book, which is really hard to fill out. To be honest, I came up with 3, so the last 3 are still blank, but the 3 that I came up with I think are really good ones, and just doing that alone, and especially filling in the section about what she needs, kind of helps me answer some questions in my head about the plot, about her motivation, what's driving her to do the thing that she's going to do, so that I can make certain reveals and twists more meaningful. I always run away with the plot. I get super excited about planning these twists, and sometimes the reason they don't work out is because I didn't start by working out the core of my character and who she is first. So it didn't feel, it was kind of like the story ended up being a who cares thing. Like, okay, that's a twist, but who cares? Because you're not invested in the main character. This is something that has happened in a lot of my past books that have not been published. So I'm happy about that. And then I wasn't going to look at the other stuff on the character sheet, like they have attitude, hair, hobbies and interests, physical condition, significant physical features, speech patterns, things they dislike, things they love, and wardrobe. Things like that, some of those, not like things they like or dislike, but wardrobe, blah, blah, blah. Those are the kind of things I usually don't fill out this early on, but I was looking at it and I was like, maybe I'll just give it a shot. And so I started filling it out, and I actually came up with some stuff that really did help me get to know Nilla a little bit better. Like, for example, her hair and the idea that there are rumors that she has strangled people to death with her braid. I like that. That adds a little something to her. There's other physical features, like she has a little tattoo of the number 0 behind her ear, which I like, and which once I wrote it down, I started to explore why she has that and how that ties into the plot. You see what I'm saying? These things had meaning and helped me get to know her a lot better, so I'm really happy I filled that out. That did take up the whole hour. Obviously, a lot of that is because she's the main character, so she's, I would hope, going to have the most elaborate character sheet. I'm going to know the most about her, especially in the beginning, but I am going to try to take some time and develop the villain who is going to be the company man from that Save the Cat institutionalized explanation, and a couple of key side characters, and I might do more of that today. Right now, I do need to have some other things on my to-do list today, one of them being to edit and upload this vlog. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to vlog any more of my process, but like I said, I'm going to be vlogging 2 times a week now, so I will, every day that I work on this, I will check in with the camera, so you'll still be able to see my process as I work through this. It feels like a slow start, but I have to remind myself that this kind of thing is necessary, and digging into the character, the protagonist from the beginning, that's going to help me lay a really good foundation for this book to make sure that my plot has a point. So that, I think, is going to be it for this vlog today. If you're doing Camp Nano, please let me know how it kicked off for you. I hope you're off to a great start, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will see you next Tuesday with another vlog. Bye. Oh, you're so pretty.